Hey guys, Sunday fun day in the first of what might be many sets today, assuming everybody plays. We may have an activity situation or two, to be honest, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Regardless, there are 5 sets scheduled for today, so I mean, even if we had 2 activity situations, which I hope we don't, but even if we did, that mean there'd be 3 sets today. Plenty of action, and the first one to occur, chronologically, is this one, August versus Fakes. This is round 4 lower bracket action, which of course, with any lower bracket set, means the person who loses here will be eliminated, and we are starting with good old ADV. I'm looking forward to this set. I like both of these guys, and I think the way that they match up as far as the tiers that they're strong in is interesting to me. I mean, Fakes I think is very versatile and good at all 3 of these, but so is August. Maybe they don't have the exact same strengths, but this matchup intrigues me. We'll see how it goes. As you guys know, it's a best of 3 at this stage of the tour, so August versus Fakes. Here's game 1 ADV. August on the bottom, Metacham lead. Way more common these days, and Fakes on the top with a Skarm. They're both going to switch, and we end up with Salamence on Gengar, which is a obviously Gengar favored matchup. Salamence showing Protect almost universally means that we're looking at a bulky Wishmance, and it does protect itself from Will-O-Wisp. Leech Seed with the miss here. You would think between the Metacham and the Celebi there's a good chance that there's BP here, which there is. There's also probably Magneton somewhere, so the Skarm has to be careful about that. But it ends up being BP to Coon, eats a Crunch, immediate Surf on the T-Tower. Should it stay in, get cute, go for HP Grass, whatever it is. But it is just a switch to Fakes his own Coon. Calm Mind and Roar, and out comes Claydol. So if it is Mag, it would be a Mag Doll team from August, but we don't actually know that. And Coon finds itself against Skarm now, which was the lead poke for Fakes, who again doesn't trust the matchup and gets out of the way, thinking there might be a mag. But August, again, if he has it, doesn't go for it. Fakes clearly sniffing that out and has played around it repeatedly. Body Slam comes down, does not find the 60-40 power that he's looking for. Leech Seed, Body Slam, gets it this time, but the damage is largely negated by the Leech Seed. So kind of do nothing for both of them. Doesn't seem to be going anywhere with what appears to be an Asterachi. And Body Slam is, yeah, 14% on Celebi, not a big deal. BP is going to prompt out the Metacham. Focus Punch comes down. That obviously would whiff completely on the Gengar. It's going to be resisted by the Doll instead. Now Skarm comes in. We see via the sand that it is a lefty's Metacham. It's not choice locked. Goes Shadow Ball now, thinking Gengar's going to come in. It doesn't. Now Brick Break and Spikes, respectively. Decent chunk on Skarm, but a Laird does get down. We already know for a fact, however, that August has a spinner, so it's not the end of the world. But that Toxic, on the other hand, definitely not what he wanted to see. That's a pretty bad move for the Metacham. It's going to put a meaningful clock on him, and he's going to stay in thinking Gengar comes. Does not. Shadow Ball is going to be protected against as the Toxic continues. Here's Doll. Now Shadow Ball connects. That is going to be super effective and a knockout from 62%. Metacham, even without band, hits really, really hard, but he does slip down to 64% thanks to the Toxic, and there is, of course, still the Spikes down. Now Body Slam comes down on the switch. The damage, as it was before, whatever, 14%. The annoying part is the para, and it's going to be another Leech Seed miss. I think he's missed 3 of those already this game. August has. Unlucky for him. And now Fake's trying to get the kill if he can get some lucky paras, which looks like he does. Really bad sequence for August. He gets parried, he misses Leech Seed, he gets full parried, and now the Celebi is basically dead. And now Claydol gets 20% burnt from Fire Punch. Really bad sequence there for August. A lot of things did not go his way. Claydol probably dead at this point. I mean, T-Tarkin just pursued a couple of times, and what are you going to do if you're August? Can't even stay in an Earthquake for meaningful damage because of the burn, and the pursuit is going to crit him even though he stays in because he would have survived otherwise. So just a terrible sequence there all the way around with the Celebi and then the Doll. Just multiple very bad, unlucky turns for August. And Fakes obviously takes full advantage of that, gets himself a nice lead. Well, I mean, technically we are looking at a 5-5, but the Celebi's in some trouble for August. It's going to be very difficult for him to find an opportunity to get that in and get a recover off, but it can be done. We end up with Rachi on Kuhn. We end up with Kuhn on Kuhn. There is Surf. So we'll see how they want to play it out. We know that Fakes has Roar. So does August actually. I forgot that we saw that. So it's Rest and Roar respectively. Brings out Metacham, maybe with a spot on prediction here, could do some real damage. He goes Shadow Ball, that is not the correct prediction, and he gets Surfed, which is going to kill him between the Sand and the Toxic in the back. That's going to leave us in a 5-4. Now Celebi comes in, so here's its window. He does, in fact, get a recover off, so it gets August back in the game a little bit, but he is now behind with the Pokemon count as well. Leech Seed landing on the Scarm. Spikes come down. August can no longer remove those with his spinner down. BP is going to bring us Mence, who we haven't seen in a while. We've only seen Protect, I believe, but it's going to be a Wish Mence, so it's not a massive threat here. As you can see, that Flamethrower, even though it's super effective, and Salamence has a very high base special attack stat, it does almost nothing. 30% against what is typically a specially bulky poke in the Asterachi. There's varying takes on it. You can put a little more defense on it. You can put a little more special defense on it. But by and large, the most common Asterachi that I'm aware of uses a sassy nature and is pretty loaded on the special bulk. Anyhow, Kuna's going to begin Calm Minding up. Wish comes down for Mence, trying to poison stall it out and make it go for Rest at some point. And August does correctly predict the Rest turn, goes for it now. So he's going to be able to get a Leech Seed off and presumably get this Kun to eventually go away. We know that he is not a Sleep Talker. We've seen Roar already. In fact, we have seen the full set. You can't see it. It's being cut off by the screen. But CM, Surf, Roar, and of course, Rest. So last poke meta coming in for August, previously unrevealed. Full team is now known for both players. He's going to go Hidden Power, and it's going to be not very effective against the Kun. So we're looking at HP Fire here. Seems to be some kind of mixed meta here, and Kun is just going to sit in there and take it. Here is Psychic now, does a lot more, 28%, but Kun just going to go right back to sleep for Fakes. See if meta wants to stay in and try to get some pressure on it. Switches into Celebi. This counter says that he has 11 Leech Seeds. It's going to be a little bit less because at least a couple of those are aimed at the Kun, so the pressure ability is not being counted. He's actually just going to go for the attack instead, HP Grass, which makes sense to me. Kun's weak to that. But multiple things, the Rachi, the Gengar, and the Scarm from Fakes all resist that and can handle it just fine. Now Salamence comes in once again. We know he has Flamethrower. And Scarm is going to be the recipient of the wish and go from the red all the way back after lefties to 100%. Poor for August, nothing he can do to stop that, and again, Fakes just capitalizing on his momentum. Now Metagross reappears. As a whole, this situation, even though it is still 5-4 and it could potentially still take a while, this situation as a whole seems virtually impossible for August to win. It does not feel to me like he has the offensive presence to break through what Fakes is doing. There's a boom to take out Kun, which is good. If he had boomed onto Scarm or Gengar, or maybe even T-Tower, it wouldn't have been enough. It specifically probably needed to be the Kun, so he at least got the boom target that he wanted. But as a whole, they're just... I mean, August can win with his own Kun, and that's about it. So I think the only play for August, and he seems to realize that he seems to be playing as such, is to go down to his own last poke Kun and hope that that's enough to get it done. So that seems to be the goal and the plan here for August. I don't see any other way to win. His team as a whole kind of seems to lack offense to me. It's a defensive Salamence. It is a supportive Celebi. It's a Doll, which is obviously just not an offensive mon in general. Mixed meta, I mean, all metas are just somewhat offensive because that's how meta works. That's how his base stats are and yada yada. But it's one of the least hard-hitting Metagrosses, the mixed meta. And then, of course, you have the Metacham and the Kun. So, I mean, it's not like the most do-nothing team I've ever seen in my life, but as a whole, it seems to lack offense, and I can see games like this and against other sturdy teams where perhaps it would have a difficult time really pushing through and actually finishing games. Not my cup of tea, but that certainly by no means that it's bad or even close to bad. We'll see how it ends up going. So the game's rolling on. We are still in that 4-3 situation. Not a huge amount of ground gained by either guy, but like I said, I mean, August has no choice if he wants to win this other than to drag out the game and try to win with the Coon. The Celebi and the Salamence are both absolutely never getting it done. So it's just the Coon that he's banking on, and that's going to receive the wish here, get back up to 97% after eating the T-Tar Crunch. Going to kill a sleep turn. Skarm reappears. We do have all three layers down already, and the Claydol is long dead, so those spikes are gonna be there for the remainder of the game. Coon gonna wake up, Coon gonna roar, and finds itself staring down the Rachi. Here comes Calm Mind and Body Slam. Does not find the 60% para. Coon with a window here. Maybe he can get like a crit surf or something, or try to punch through in some way. Roaring doesn't even matter because he's paired without spikes, this Coon is, so he can't even rack up the residual damage. He's going to have to rely on proper, traditional, just attack to do damage to things. Combine and Body Slam does finally find the para. However, that very boosted 3x Surf there, plus 3 Surf rather, is going to take out the T-Tar. Now Surf is going to do heavy damage to the Skarm, but he's going to be whirlwinded away. But August does make progress here. He does at least kill a Pokemon, even though he did not sweep with the Coon, and he did get whirlwinded away and loses progress, and Coon does have to step on spikes when it comes back in, and all that good stuff. But he did make progress there and even up the game at 3 a pop. The T-Tar no longer a factor. It is down. August with the Leech Seed. Here comes Gengar. Leech Seed misses again. I feel like August has been really unlucky this game with the Leech Seed. Some of them don't matter. That one wasn't a huge deal. But as a whole, he has missed a lot of Leech Seeds, which generally 85% accurate. I mean, shit happens, but you should hit the vast majority of those. And man, August has caught multiple poor breaks this game. Not only does he miss the Leech Seed, he's immediately frozen by the Ice Punch. And he doesn't thaw either. He's just going to concede. It felt like August was making a little bit of a comeback and gave himself at least a fighting chance at the end. But the Gengar are going to clutch him out. The Leech Seed miss and then the Ice Punch freeze. That leaves him in a point where Coon comes in. It's at 57%. It would have to step on spikes. It's paralyzed. And Gengar can immediately at least Thunderbolt it, maybe even Boom on it. And there's no way to play around it. If the Gengar, say, booms there, even if August were to get out of the way and go to the Salamence there, I mean, I guess you could pass it a wish, but I would say at that point that Coon is in some real danger from coming in another time on the spikes. Maybe a premature forfeit for August, but probably not. The Gengar does have Thunderbolt, so I don't even know if the Coon would have survived the spikes plus the Thunderbolt on their own. I think we were almost certainly done here, and August definitely in this game caught multiple unlucky breaks. I remember that mid-game sequence with the Celebi and the Claydol where things really didn't go his way at all. That was really unlucky, and then at the end he gets unlucky again. Now granted, would he have won had it not happened this way? I don't know. He had a shot. The Coon certainly had a chance. It wasn't guaranteed. It was still low. This Gengar was still dangerous, and this Gengar is really hard to kill for August, so he might have still been in trouble anyway. I'm not saying that this sequence just sped up the inevitable, but I think he had more than zero shots. Certainly this is going to make it so he has zero shot. Fakes is going to take Gen 3, which is the Game 1, and we're going to be moving on to the second game of August is choosing, which his best gen is DPP. His tournament life is on the line, so understandably he is going to choose, guess what, DPP. He'll have to win there, and then if he does, we'll go to black-white and see if he can beat Fakes there as well. If he doesn't manage to do both of those things, August will be eliminated with a respectable 2-2 record. Anyone who goes out at this stage of the tour 2-2 against this kind of competition, honestly, is pretty solid. It's totally respectable. But let's find out. Here is the second game, DPP, Gen 4. August again is going to be on the bottom, Fakes again is going to be on the top, and here is the game. Roserade for both players, actually, so that makes it pretty simple. Might have been a turn 1 speed tie, which blows, and there is a speed tie won by Fakes with his Sleep Powder, which connects. An unlucky start for August, who is doing nothing with his Roserade. He's getting put to sleep. He's getting hit with hidden powers. Doesn't get any hazards down. Roserade does nothing whatsoever for August. Good start for Fakes. Do nothing start for August. The only thing he has to show for himself, he does get rocks down, but immediately his opponent gets rocks down as well. So really, August is straight up behind from the get-go. Heatran goes for Lava Plume, not a huge deal. Clefable doesn't care, and she begins tossing him around seismically. She did get the knockoff off as well. Rotom comes in, and Soft Boiled comes down. Substitute immediately. That's going to keep it pretty safe. Knockoff happens, but it obviously does not remove the item through the sub. Likewise, it doesn't even pop the sub. And now Charge Beam for Fakes. He starts to get big. Knockoff again. Fails to even pop the substitute. And now Rotom going aggro here. 47% Thunderbolt. Looking poor for August. Down to 50% already. Desperation. Immediate switch to Dugtrio on the substitute. He was obviously hoping to come in on a Thunderbolt. Pursuit is going to pop the sub. At what cost? The cost of Dugtrio's life. Shadow Ball takes that out, and this is looking real bad for August in the early stages of this game. Rotom and Heatran. Shadow Ball not going to do it. It does get a Specs drop, woohoo, but nowhere near enough. And another Specs drop, in fact, so fine and well. But August is very, very far behind, and even with the 2 Specs drops, he still can't kill the Heatran with a follow-up Shadow Ball. Dies to the follow-up Lava Plume. August in shambles right now, but he at least gets on the board with this Thunderbolt. But keep in mind, his Roserade is at 14% and asleep, and there's rocks down, so August is even further behind than it may appear. Here's Fire Punch. There is U-Turn. Little trick actions got him locked on the Choice Scarf here, so if he stays in, he's going to have to Fire Punch against this Coon. Less than ideal. And again, both players have opted to bring Coon just as they did in the ADV game. See how it plays out. Fakes is going to sub up and immediately get out of the way. Shiny Lati comes in, all orange and beautiful. And here comes the Jirachi as the response. Again, it's Trick. Going to exchange Choice Specs with Choice Scarf. And now Ice Punch. Rachi down, brings us to a 4-4 situation, so August on paper has caught up, but honestly, truly, not really. Again, remember the Roserade is basically dead. Fakes is still ahead here, even though it's not as ahead, not as one-sided as it may have been before. August, again, as he did in the ADV game, is going to be relying heavily on his Coon to get this done. Roserade reappears for Fakes. There is Calm Mind, which is the only thing we've seen from the Coon so far. Leaf Storm, heavy damage, despite the Calm Mind. Ice Beam will kill, fine and well, but man, is the Coon low now. It's at 12%. Rotom coming in for what he hopes to be the follow-up revenge kill. August not ready to allow that to happen. He switches out of the way and has something else eat the Thunderbolt, and he's now relying solely on getting flinches with Iron Head. He's going to go to Roserade and fodder it off. Thunderbolt will be enough. Almost anything would have been in that situation. And now he's back to Rachi. Goes for his own Thunderbolt. That is not going to do it, and Thunderbolt takes him out as well. It is only the Clefable and the Coon remaining. August doesn't think it'll be enough, and he is going to pack it in. This one a lot less time than the ADV game. Fakes is going to take it down. It's going to be a 2-0 set for him. And August is going to be eliminated with the 2-2 record, totally solid, but it is going to be short of making that cash money. And Fakes, who, if he tries, if he gives a shit, if he shows up, is definitely one of the better players in this format. These 3 tiers, definitely the 3 strongest tiers for Fakes, and he definitely knows how to play all 3 of them. He is going to live to fight another day. He's now 3-1, solid record. We'll see him in round 5. Alright guys, like I said, assuming the matches do actually play, which who knows, but if they do play, there's going to be a lot more content today. There's scheduled to be 4 more matches. 1 or 2 of them, unfortunately, may end up being activity cases, I'm not sure. But even if, say, both of them were activity, there'll still be 2 more sets. But there's going to be somewhere in the vicinity up to 4 more sets today. So you'll certainly hear my voice again. Look forward to it. Until then, guys, enjoy this set. Leave me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in a little bit with more Permasand Invitational.